We're on.
Okay, thank you all for your patience. Sorry we ran a little bit late. This meeting is called to order at, 5:07 p.m. Is there anything to report from closed session?
There's nothing to report from closed session.
Okay, please join me to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Amanzadeh, second from trustee Moscato. Any comments or changes on the agenda?
No.
Nope. Okay, we need a vote to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda is approved as presented. Is there any public comment this evening? Nope. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on.
David is attending via Zoom.
Oh, okay. Up next, we have the organization report. So first up, we have KTA.
Will it work for me? Good evening, board members, superintendent. My name is Marjorie Bukowski, and I'm honored to represent the Kentfield Teachers Association along with Celeste Perez. Kentfield teachers are committed. We are committed to understanding the needs of our students. In just 3 weeks of school, both sites have already opened their classrooms for back to school night. Teachers have begun assessments to better understand the needs of our young readers, particularly in the primary grades, using screening tools to guide instruction. I mean, all grades do it, but we're excited about the new screening tools to identify reading difficulties at an earlier age. Kentfield teachers take the time to connect with their students so each child feels supported and welcomed in the classroom.
At Kent, 8th grade web leaders helped the incoming 5th graders begin the year with more confidence and a stronger sense of belonging. 5th grade teachers also held intake conferences to connect with caregivers and to learn directly from them about their children. This week, the K through 4 teachers will hold similar conferences to better understand their students and what motivates them. Kentfield teachers are flexible. 5th grade teachers began the year with a restructured schedule to help the district reduce costs. 1st and 2nd grade teachers extended their Wednesdays to streamline the pickup process for families. Enrichment teachers stepped in to support the 2nd grade classrooms 4 days a week. And at Basage, special education teachers are adapting to a new model and working tirelessly to meet the student needs despite reductions in FTEs.
Kentfield teachers deliver. Whenever a new curriculum is introduced, Kentfield teachers not only take on the work of implementing it, but also dedicate themselves to learning it deeply, building new routines and creating systems that ensure every student benefits. We are grateful to the administration for adding another kindergarten teacher in recognition of the importance of class size on student learning. We thank the Kentfield Educational Support Professionals Association, otherwise known as KESPA, for keeping our schools running smoothly, often behind the scenes. We thank the PTA for continuing to support classroom needs. For example, through the grant, the teacher grant program, students were able to read more current and relevant books featuring main characters with diverse backgrounds and themes touching on social justice issues. We thank KIC for sustaining enrichment programs at both sites, including drama offered by Ms. Marissa. Anecdotally, 3rd grade teachers are excited because Ms. Marissa is willing to make sure that our readers workshop that they're going to be doing for drama integrates with our curriculum. So it's going to be tied nicely to that. This will help reinforce their learning.
With federal budget cuts and rising costs, it's more important than ever for us all to think creatively about how to attract and retain the exceptional, caring educators and staff who make Kentfield such a special place for students. We look forward to a year of collaboration with all members of our school community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know why that's
Okay, next up is KSD.
Good evening. I'm Susan Sharp. I'm the secretary of KSPA. Gretchen, our wonderful president, has asked me to stand in her place tonight as she couldn't be here. I'll give you an initial nutshell. KSPA is in good shape right now. We have 22 active members. We hope to bring in a few more people from our new paraprofessionals and people that are now on staff. And we're going to be bargaining our contract again this year, and we're going to be standing with KTA as we always do to support and encourage everything fair and wonderful with great outcomes. I wanted to share with you the National Education Association gives all the members of CTA and that association free magazines. And I was looking through one, and they had the ESP Bill of Rights. So I want to share some of it with you. I'm not going to read every word of this, but it's quite timely and important. So I wanted to give some of that to you. All ESPs deserve fair compensation. One job should be enough. ESPs should not have to work multiple jobs to maintain financial independence. ESPs should have access to affordable health insurance, depends on how many hours you work. ESPs deserve paid leave, including personal days, sick days, parental caregiver leave, and Family and Medical Leave Act benefits. Professional learning and career advancement. ESPs deserve high-quality, job-related professional learning opportunities for career advancement. Seniority rights must be protected when ESPs pursue promotions and request transfers, and at times of layoffs and furloughs. ESPs have the right to a workload that allows them to excel in their assigned positions. ESPs deserve a voice in establishing fully staffed shifts, clear work protocols, and resources that support their careers. ESPs have the right to a secure retirement. All their years of service should count toward a pension if they are eligible for one. And the right to bargain. ESPs deserve a strong voice in their workplace that includes the right to join their union and advocate for the rights and protections they deserve. Bargaining and advocacy ensure they enhance student learning and improve educator working conditions, benefiting students, schools, and the community as a whole. And I can tell you that all the ESPs in KSPA are really committed to these ideals, and we will continue to stand strong for our students and for our school. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, next up are the community reports of KIC.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Janzer. I am here to represent KIC on behalf of my other co-president, Joe Mariska, who's unable to be here tonight. For those of you, I think everyone knows what KIC is, but just in case, KIC stands for Kentfield Invest in Kids. It's a volunteer, nonprofit, parent-led organization that is responsible for fundraising for the school. All of the money that we raise is directly funds many of our enrichment programs, including 100% of art, music, and library at both Basich and Kent, the Idea Studio, Maker Studio at Basich, as well as Woodshop at Kent, and the drama programs. We have really ambitious goals this year. Our goal is to raise $1.4 million. As well as to increase our participation. We would love for 100% of our parents to participate, and any amount, of course, is fine, but we really want to get more and more people engaged with KIC. A couple quick updates. So Joe and I, over the last few weeks, have been doing our best to make the rounds and come to any back to school event that we've been invited to help people understand what KIC is, why it's important, and what the money that we raise directly funds. So thank you all for your invitations and for listening to our spiel over and over again. I also wanted to give a big thank you to Raquel and Grant and Maria, and actually many of the board here for coming to our principal circle party on Friday night. I think that what we heard from the community was just a lot of appreciation for all of you being there and taking the time out of your busy schedules to show up and to mingle with the community. I think it shows that we are, a collaborative group, that we work together really closely, all with the same goal of supporting our schools and our kids. Let's see, we have Family Fun Day coming up on Sunday, September 28th or 28th. Thank you. I'm looking at Tracy. It's a fun day for everyone to come together, for the community to sort of, have fun together. So come if you can. Our campaign officially kicks off in October with our family giving campaign, but we do have some donations already coming in. So I wanted to just share a quick update on where we are to our goal. So our goal again is $1.4 million. We are currently at 220K, which is about, just over 15% to our goal. And that represents 32 families, which is just under 5% of the community has donated so far. So we have a lot of work to do, but we feel really confident that we'll be able to hit the goals this year. And the last thing I'll just say is thank you to the amazing teachers, to the board, to our community for your collaboration and support of KIC over the years. Cool, thanks.
Thank you, Christina. And next is KSPTA, Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Wilda, the president of the PTA here in Kenfield School District. And we've also had a good start to the school year. We were at 7, some official back to school events, some not. They're hosting with coffees and breakfasts and beverages and welcoming returning teachers and staff and returning families, new families. So we've got a mostly new and very enthusiastic board this year. So there's been a lot of energy around membership, but not even, we need the money associated with membership, but also just enthusiasm for getting everyone involved and really included. And it just feels genuinely like it's a really great start to the school year. So I'm really happy about that. And it will continue. We have our first back to school party this Friday at Basich for kindergarten and TK families. We have 61 families who have RSVP'd out of 99. So it should be a great night. If you have a kindergartner or TKer or you just want to come, please join us. I mentioned at the last meeting, one of the things that's changed this year about the back to school parties is that we are providing complimentary pizza and local gelato, where in years past, we've had different parents from different grades managing each party, which has been great, but there's been a little bit of disparity in the way some feel, and we want them just to all be really fun and delightful and really just focused on reuniting with people or meeting people for the first time. So that one will be on Friday, and then the following 2 Fridays, we'll have the rest of the grades. And I also wanted to mention that as of yesterday in our general meeting, we had our budget approved for this school year. So our budget is $135,000, and that allows us to plug into all the things that are really important to our community and to our students and our teachers. And just in case anyone was curious, our 2 biggest line items from that budget are we have a $25,000 grant program, and that is coming up next month, where anyone affiliated with the school district is welcome to apply for money, whether it's teachers, families, any kind of initiative. It's a really great opportunity as a catch-all for things that aren't in our budget at a line item. And then I wanted to close with saying that in our general meeting yesterday was our first partnership with Maria and the principal chat. So we had a joint meeting It was a robust an hour and a half, but we had a really good showing and also really great engagement. I mean, we probably had the first half an hour was probably just all Q&A. So it was really great. We're looking forward to doing the same here with Kent next month. And I also wanted to mirror Christina and giving a heartfelt thank you to everyone in this room. One of the things that came through to me yesterday, which was so touching, is just what a great back to school experience all the parents have had through their children. There was one mom who was in tears talking about how nervous her son was coming to kindergarten and how he's just really blossomed even just in the last 2 weeks. And we know that it takes a lot of people to do that. So, from my seat, that's one of the most gratifying things about spending time in the PTA is really just seeing our community really come to life like that. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome and thank you. Okay, now we will hear a report from Superintendent Rose.
Okay, so I have a really brief updates because we just were together a little less than 2 weeks ago. So hopefully I can get this up quickly. But there has been things happening. So, but before I get started, if you had the opportunity to be at this meeting on August 26th, you would have heard us celebrate Ramiro Alvitez, our Director of Facilities, flew off into retirement. And the board approved the hiring of Dave Harden. So I want to welcome Dave in the crowd. So yeah, great. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Dave is joining us from Santa Rosa City Schools, where he has held a variety of roles in the maintenance and operations department, has jumped in here in Kentfield. He travels from Sebastopol every day, so it's a trek for sure, but has just reiterated over and over how kind and welcoming everybody has been. I've noticed how responsive he's been. He stepped in last week while one of our grounds maintenance team members was out for the week and fixed a water leak. And so I was like, "You did it?" He's like, "Yeah, I did it." And I was like, "Okay, great." So anyways, we've had the chance to check in pretty much on a daily basis. And so I appreciate the board supporting that hire, and I look forward to our bright future together. So let's see here. Here we go. So I have 3 big updates, or I don't know that I'd say big, but 3 items I want to touch on tonight. One is Universal Meals Program. So there was a question that we got last time that I wanted just to circle back. So you all and our public was aware of just some of the pricing pieces that we looked at for our new meal program. Some KSD future planning. So there's an item on the consent agenda that the board will consider tonight. And I just want to talk a little bit about how we landed there. And then the third item is just Measure bond updates. So it's an ongoing item that I touch on at each meeting. So universal meals, let me move this. So as I shared at the last meeting, we have a new vendor, D's Organics, which actually was the first vendor that we utilized the first year when we went into universal meals. And the last 2 years, we've been using Lunch Masters and engaged in a partnership with Reed Union School District as our school food authorizer. And so Reed Union had an interest in looking at a new vendor. And so for that reason, they went out with a request for proposals last year. And I just wanted to share with the board and with our public that you can see here there were 5 vendors that went through the proposal process and that were vetted. And Lunch Masters was not one of those. So Lunch Masters was the agency that we had been using, but they did not submit a proposal. And so after all of the vetting, I think Tracy actually got to participate in the taste test that happened in the Reed Union School District. They landed on D's Organics, and that's the new food service program that we're utilizing for breakfast and for lunch. Overall, the food feedback has been very positive. The students seem to really be liking it. I saw Sloppy Joe's a couple weeks ago now, and seemed to really enjoy the warm breakfast, the breakfast burritos. I even heard somebody say that a child had only ate half of their breakfast burrito and saved it to take it home to their parents because they wanted them to taste how good it was. So it's really good, positive things. There are some kinks that we're still ironing out, but I feel confident that through ongoing conversations with Dee, we'll get through it. But what I also want folks to pay attention here is that the price point, so you'll see breakfast price per meal and the lunch price per meal. And so D's Organics was the lowest out of the vendors that we evaluated. And I believe they're even a little lower than Lunchmasters. Their meals are all compliant to the National School Lunch Program, which means that we should be getting fully reimbursed for those meals as long as we're accounting for them. So fortunately, we're lucky to have two food service assistants on both of our school sites that are doing a phenomenal job of tracking that, but we just have to be sure that we stay within the compliance and that the food is there for our students and the students receive them, go and eat them, or if they decide not to and they just want a component of it, they don't have to eat it. They can put it on what we call the extra table, and then somebody else could take that if they so choose, or we donate it to a food bank. So just wanted to clarify that for folks. The next is
Rick, I'll just just comment on that. I'm an N of one, but my son appreciates the new food. He hasn't ate any of the Lunchmaster stuff, but these organics he likes. Just curious, like with better food means that more people are eating them. Are we seeing more lunches being consumed or relative to the past, or?
We are seeing a little bit of an increase. I can bring those numbers back in a
Okay.
separate meeting, but I see the emails come through. I adjusted my numbers based on what I think. So we're just watching it closely.
Okay.
The thing that we're really watching for is that whatever our number, we're definitely not running out of food, which tells me that we're ordering the right amounts. And we just want to be sure that we capture each meal that's distributed so that we can get reimbursed for that meal.
Yep.
So, okay. The next item that I want to touch on is the consent agenda item that you have. And this is related to two contracts that are on consent for Team Civex and Godby Research. And so both of these, I would align them to our LCAP goals 1 through 4, which is around student achievement, it's around fiscal solvency, it's around staff support, and it's around our community. And what they are is they are ultimately a political consultant to guide us through the process to consider our parcel tax renewal. And Godby is a subcontractor with Team Civex to do the research for that, meaning how we engage with our community through polling. So what I thought was important is for our board to be well aware of the process that we went through to identify these agencies. And so this past June, we actually solicited multiple political consultants in this realm to receive requests for proposals about participating and engaging in this process with us. From there, we reviewed the applications, and then we ultimately identified two finalists to move forward to an interview. We actually had 3 different interviews. And when I say we, it was myself and 2 other board members. And we did additional outreach to reference checks for the agencies. And so where we landed and what's before you to consider during the consent agenda is to approve contracts for Team Civex and Godby Research. These will be funded from our general fund. These are not something that would be funded from any other restricted fund. And it's like that because the idea is that we are going to get the guidance and support that we need to be successful with our steps related to the parcel tax. I know Sarah and David both participated in that process. So I don't know, Sarah, if you want to chime in and say anything about.
I would just say that Team Civex has a just deep, unending well of knowledge about Marin and Marin schools, and just demonstrated a lot of expertise and strategic guidance as we go into this. We know that this is an existential issue for our district and that we have to pass this parcel tax. So we took it very seriously as to who would be part of our team and feel really good about this. We had quite an extensive process, but yeah.
And so following, if the board approves this tonight, we anticipate polling to begin quite quickly. And the reason for that would be because there is a special election that's happening in November, and the guidance initially is that we would want to get out there for polling prior to being in a campaign timeframe. So we'll have to run rather quickly if the board approves those items on the consent agenda this evening to move all those pieces to be ready to launch.
I just want to thank Raquel, Sarah, and David. This was all done over the summer. Quite a bit of work. Thank you. And I feel like this is a great outcome. So thank you.
Okay, so my next item is just Measure E updates. So financing. So as you're all aware, proceeds are available. We're utilizing those as needed related to the projects that Damien's here tonight too, that we're moving forward. The board is going to be considering later on the action agenda some change orders, and Damian can speak to them more specifically. But I just want to highlight that Basage, and these were specifically for the roof project. So it was projected at about approximately 164,000. It came in at 150,000, which we were 13,000 under budget. For Kent, the project was 217,000, came in at 181,000, and we were about 36,000 under budget. So kudos to Damien and watching all that closely and supporting us there. But I think it's a good report that we're able to provide here to the board tonight, as well as to our Citizens Oversight Committee on Tuesday. The next is our COC. So we have a meeting this Thursday. It's going to be in-person meeting here at Kent, and then we're going to kind of go over, do site visits here for Kent Middle School, and then over at Basage, and then we'll come back to the site. We'll look at the project list. We will welcome 2 new members if they are approved by the board or appointed by the board tonight. You'll see those later on in your packet. And then communications to celebrate progress on projects. So one of the things that came up at our last meeting was the idea of how are we making it visible that things are getting completed related to the Measure E project. So you might notice it was very slight, but that infographic or that sign that's there, it says, "Thank you, Kentfield voters, Measure E. This project was funded by Measure E." So that will be the sign that we'll utilize to put out on projects as they get complete. We were able to get that from Team Civex. They put it together based on our other logo that we utilize. So just that was a response to feedback from the board from the last meeting. And then my last piece on project list update. So you're also going to see later on your agenda for summer 2025, consider the approval of notice of completion for the various projects that were done this summer, the roof at Basage, the Basage Community Center, the roof at Kent Gym, as well as the floors in the Kent MP room, multipurpose room. And then summer 2026 and beyond, we have the project list that's been approved. It was approved at our last board meeting. And action items for you to consider will be the architect for the solar and for the big roofing project for both school sites. I think that's all I have related to my updates.
Great, thank you very much. We did hear full site updates at the last board meeting 2 weeks ago, but we want to give our principals the opportunity to share a couple of recent updates if you have them. Principal Martin, do you have any updates?
Hi, nice to see you guys. Yeah, just a couple brief updates. So as Tracy mentioned, we had our first combined principal chat KSPTA general meeting, and it was fantastic. The turnout was better than just a standalone principal chat from last year, and the engagement was and feedback that we got on both the topics I shared from a principal chat perspective and some of the KSPTA agenda items was great. For my part, I focused on our ELA curriculum, kind of shared with parents what CKLA is and what that looks like in the classroom, what that might look like, how parents could support at home. And then also talked a bit about the screener for potential reading difficulties and what that is all about, the new mandate from the state, and how we are utilizing the Dibbles M class for that, and what parents can expect in terms of access to results and timelines for that. So we shared that, or I shared that. And then I also touched on behavior expectations. You know, we spend the first few weeks of school during our kind of win time and team time before those are fully up and running, really walking kids through different spaces and what are our expectations. And a couple of years ago, we intentionally added a connection to the people that their behavior in those spaces affect. So things like going into the bath or standing outside of the bathroom with your class and talking about how we have a wonderful custodial team, and when we don't use the bathroom appropriately and, you know, clog the toilets or throw paper towels on the ceiling, that it has an impact on a person. And so making that connection for kids. So I just kind of highlighted our behavior expectations and what are some typical consequences for students who make mistakes and don't meet those expectations. And then I also spent a moment to explain suspension and kind of ed code around that without going too much into the weeds, but about what we do and try to do to avoid suspension before we're going to deny a student access to their education. So I thought it was kind of a great starting point, and look forward to future collaborations. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight, which I think also Marjorie and Celeste touched on, is the intake conferences, which officially start tomorrow at Base Edge. So we have a string of minimum days for the rest of this week. And so we are looking forward to connecting with parents and really kind of an opportunity to build and strengthen that homeschool partnership that is so important for student success. So we're excited that the community kind of puts up with some additional minimum days. We know it can be an impact for childcare and that, but it's really valuable time for us as we get to work with new groups of students. So those were really the only highlights, and look forward to seeing you guys next month with additional updates. Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. Principal Althouse, do you have any updates? He's got books. I'm excited.
I
think
do
we
have
need
an
to present
update
this.
and I come with gifts. Okay. Lovely to see everybody this evening. I will also keep comments brief as we did just connect to talk about the launch of school at the end of August. So I wanted to speak this evening about just the culture of literacy that we support at our school. I have so enjoyed spending time in this very library with classes of students as they've learned from our teacher librarian, Shannon Janney, about just the wonderful breadth of literature that's available for young readers, both fifth and sixth grade readers, as well as young adult literature that eventually our children get exposed to. There has just been an explosion of incredible literature for children to read. And one of the things that's very common in our language arts classes is that kids make a to be read list. So every student at Kent has a book that they're actively reading and a list of books that they're excited to read next. And as I visited classrooms, I see that to be read list growing and growing and growing. And one of the things we got to see our eighth graders do at the conclusion of last year in their portfolios is to try to list every book that they read while a Kent Middle School Falcon. And it's incredible to see the dozens and dozens and dozens of books that our kids have read over their time with us here. So that's the backdrop that leads into the start of another all-school read for Kent Middle School. So this is the 8th year in a row where our entire school has read a common text. And a part of the idea behind the all-school read is to have a shared literature experience where everybody on our campus is familiar with a story and able to talk about that story and the themes of the text. And we typically also are very intentional with the texts that we choose to allow us to also address themes that are coming up in students' lives, in the world at large, to really have literature be a relevant experience for our children. We often talk about a book being either a window or a mirror. It can help somebody understand themselves a little bit better, or it can provide windows into experiences that they haven't yet had to learn and admire and try to understand them before they experience them in their real life. So the book that we are reading this year is called Louder Than Hunger by John Shu. It's an incredible book that's written in verse that's composed for ages 10 to 14, which is right the population of students that we serve. And it actually tells the story of the main character, Jake, who is experiencing middle school life and the trials and tribulations of said life. But he also starts to experience disordered eating and does need to receive some treatment for that disordered eating. And it tells the story of Jake and his experience in kind of growing through this illness that he's experiencing, as well as the people in his life that really set him up for success and healing and a future that he can be proud of and a future in which he can thrive. And so some of the messaging in the book very much aligns with what we help our children to understand, that lived experiences are different, that people cope with trials and tribulations in their life in a variety of ways, some healthy and some unhealthy, but that when we have a community of people who truly rally to support one another, that we can get through even the most trying of circumstances in a person's life. So the book does go through some themes that can be complicated. Disordered eating is a complicated, confusing topic, but one that unfortunately some of our students do navigate and some of our students' families navigate over time. And so this can be a window into a lived experience for some individuals, and most importantly, how a community can rally around somebody and help them through it. So I wanted to share with the board, we have a process established to introduce the text to our students through an advisory lesson that we'll be teaching next week. Shannon Janney, our teacher librarian, has been instrumental in designing the materials and how we introduce the book to our school. And so as a part of that advisory lesson, we'll be watching a video of the author, John Shu, introducing the book, introducing himself. We talk about network of support, community of support, as well as some of the challenges that middle schoolers experience that are more typical in nature, as well as some of the challenges that some people can experience in life, like negative and harmful coping strategies. Then the week of the 22nd, we start 6 days in a row of reading by advisory group. So that same group of students, smaller group with a teacher that had the advisory lesson, will actually be reading the book together. It looks big, but it's in verse. So actually within 6 sessions, we feel like we're going to be reading the book with some time to spare. So we have a pacing guide and discussion questions to help the teacher have a meaningful dialogue with students in their class. And then John Shu comes on the 7th day, September 30th, for a 5th and 6th grade assembly and a 7th and 8th grade assembly. He'll be here signing books. He'll be talking about his life as a writer, as well as his own lived experience that informed the writing of the story. I also wanted to share that we will be hosting a principal coffee on September 19th, where myself and Wendy and Shannon, our school librarian, as well as our counseling team, will be present to introduce this text to families, the way that we're going to be supporting teachers and students in learning from the text and experiencing the text, and then also talking a little bit about the history of the All School Read and some of the incredible books and authors that we've had the chance to meet along the way. So I brought a copy of the book for each of our board members. This is an all-school read. You are in a really essential part of our school as well, so we'd love for you to experience the book. I actually really enjoyed reading it as an adult. I couldn't put it down, and it reads really quickly because it is in verse. It's amazing how much the author teaches us with so few words. There have been some families that have asked questions about introducing a theme like this negative coping strategy of disordered eating. And I just wanted to assure the board as well as our community, we're being very intentional in the way we're introducing these themes. And also that notion that we feel it is our obligation to support children in learning about the complicated elements of life before they get exposed to it in a way without the kind of scaffolding and support that an adult leading a discussion can provide. And so, yes, it is a topic that some of our students may not have familiarity with, but we do believe that learning about that topic through the discussion of someone else's experience in a story can be an incredibly powerful and supported way to engage with it. So we're looking forward to a successful all-school read this year. I will deliver these books on the dais right now, and also am available to answer any questions that people might have.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'm excited. There was Atlanta Critical. Thank you. Yes, I would.
Yes.
That's an
Thank you.
Atlanta Critical
Thank you.
that that book came out, and I made Julian read it before he got home. All right, thank you, Grant. Next, Superintendent Rose will present the unaudited actuals for 24-25.
Okay, so our Executive Director of Fiscal Services is not here this evening, and so I am stepping in and presenting our unaudited actuals in his place. He is in Japan with his daughter. They went on a father-daughter trip, and it's right before she heads off to college. So I think it's a really special time that they get to spend together. So wishing him well and looking forward to him being back next Monday. So with that said, you'll see the slide deck. It's very familiar with what the board has seen in the past. And I'll just kind of go high level over unaudited actuals. But one of the new things that I'm doing this year, Beth, if I can ask you, there's right there at that corner, if you can pass those infographics out. Through some feedback that's been received over time is just kind of how can we continue to make our budget consumable for the public? And just what are some of the high level points of these presentations that we can put out there? And so one of the new things that we'll be doing for each budget presentation, we'll be creating this infographic that will give a real high level summary of what's provided in the PowerPoint, and then we'll post it on our website so folks can see it. So this infographic speaks to like identifies what is unaudited actuals, like what does that mean? It gives a general fund summary. So what were our total revenues? What are our total expenditures? And then what was the net of our revenue of expenditures? A pie chart, a very simple pie chart that's just categorizes 3 key areas, staffing, contracts and operations, and materials and supplies, and then just some highlights, year-end highlights that we'll point out during the presentation. And again, this is an effort to continue to try to be as transparent as possible related to our budget. So it'll be something new. I won't always have it in the slide deck, but what you can expect is to have some form of infographic for the community. So with that, what I'm going to go over are, defining unaudited actuals and fund balance, summary of what our actual revenues and expenses were for fiscal year 24-25, variance between estimated actuals, and then next steps and any questions the board may have. So this year talks about the definition of unaudited actuals. So ultimately, this is taking a snapshot of where we ended the year before it goes through our auditor. And we're required by the state to provide a report to the County Office of Education, the County Superintendent of Schools, through their AB 1200 fiscal oversight. And that must be provided no later than September 15th, and it has to be before the board for their approval. Unaudited actuals feeds into our fund balance, or also known as our reserves, or also known as our savings account. So wherever we ended the prior year, we always want to look, how did our balance look and how did that compare to what we had estimated and projected? And I'm happy to say that we ended stronger than we had projected, which is a positive thing. This here is a summary of our expenses and our revenues for last year. So you'll see our beginning fund balance when we started the year, we were at about 3.8 million, which is considered our savings account. And then the revenues for 24-25, we brought in $23.5 million. Our expenditures were $23.1 million. So we spent less than we brought in. And if you may recall, we were expecting to deficit spend, in which we didn't, which is great. So due to this, we saw an increase of our ending fund balance. So our ending fund balance is at 4.1 million. You'll notice we highlighted the unrestricted component because that is the areas in which we have kind of more flexibility with. And that is about 3.2 million. Restricted, we have close to 1 million, but it's about 938,000. And so you can see the net increase was almost $350,000. And most of it was on the unrestricted side. So, this is really what we want to be seeing. We want to see that positive. And I'll go into kind of the why behind that in a minute. Here we break down the revenues more specific, like what are those different sources that are coming in from the state, what the state brings to us, our parcel tax, Kentfield Invest in Kids. You heard Christina speaking earlier about the money that they're bringing in, KSPTA, local, other states, SERS on behalf, which is a transfer financial mechanism, and then the federal dollars, and then what our expenses are. So you can see all those different categories there. And on that infographic, I took the expenses and just kind of put that into a smaller pie chart just to highlight the key things. Ultimately, the biggest expense we have is our staffing, and that's where those expenses should be. The other area that comes up and is of question quite a bit is around the contracts and those contracted services. And it ranges from things like PG&E and consulting contracts like some that are on your agenda tonight, but it also is specialized services like occupational therapy, speech and language potentially if we need to increase based on what our caseloads look like in special education. So those is just an itemization of the various revenue and expenses. And then here, this is, let me move this here. This is that the chart kind of more specifics about our estimated actuals and then our actuals that came to fruition. So you can see the revenues increased by about 367,000. And that's accounted for, we had property tax was a little higher than we were projecting. So we were projecting at about 4% and it came in about 4.3%. We got a little bit more lottery money from the state, about 22,000 extra dollars. the increase from KIC, right? So we had projected 1.1, it ended up being 1.25, and then there was the money that came through the fund to need. And our expenditures also, you'll see, was projected at 24 million and it went down to 23 million. And that is part of some adjustments that we made. So staffing reductions and adjustments that we made. So for example, we had a vacant position in the district office for the entirety of the school year. We decreased one of our director positions. We moved out of the district office. That was a huge piece. That's an operational change. So there were quite a few different adjustments we made there. And again, just programmatically on the sites, for example, Universal Transitional Kindergarten, we adjusted that program. And so that was a reduction also in staffing and aligned our staffing with our enrollment. So that's where you're seeing some of those savings there. So you can see where our ending fund balance landed. And, you know, we're stronger than we were what we thought when the board adopted the budget back in June. End of year highlights. So our ending fund balance specifically on the unrestricted, I think is what we want to focus on, which is 3.2 million. KIC's increased annual commitment. And you heard Christina mention the goal this year is 1.4 million. So it continues to increase, which is great. That positively impacted our general fund. The staffing reductions and program and operational adjustments allowed us to avoid deficit spending, which I think is a key piece. And we're continuing to see the changes. You heard members of our team tonight talk about some of the changes that our teachers are implementing right now. So fifth grade adjustments, looking at the fifth grade, I wrote little notes for myself here, but fifth grade adjustments, we adjusted special education in terms of caseloads and staffing patterns. Our enrichment teachers are supporting some of our larger classes. So really trying to think through how we're continue all to make adjustments in supporting the fiscal solvency of our school district, but also keeping the priority being what's best for our kids. So as we think about 25-26, it is going to be a year of negotiations. We're going to be at the table with our partners just in a couple weeks, months here. We also have a parcel tax that will be expiring in 2028. And so starting the planning around what we need to do there, it is 25% of our budget. So it's significant. And doing what we need to do to strengthen our reserves / our savings account for our district. So I'm happy to answer any questions or take questions and bring answers back when Michael's back.
I have a question and then you can bring the answer back if you don't have the number, you know, burned into your brain. But what is our new reserve percentage with this increase?
So the total reserve is 18%. Our unrestricted is 13%.
Great, thank you.
Can I make a comment? Just for everyone here in the audience, because you guys represent some of our most important partners, we are really going to need everybody helping out with the parcel tax, helping make the case to our community. So if we haven't already been in touch with you about it this year, we will be, and we will really need everybody pulling in the same direction. As we've seen in neighboring communities, it's not inevitable that it passes. And so we want your input on how to craft it in a way that is logical and makes sense to you. But we'll really need your full-throated support. So just sort of a plea.
Kari, on your point around the reserve percentage, I think we ended the year expecting it to be about 12% as part of budget adoption. And that's all before any negotiated salary increases for any of our staff or bargaining partners. So it's important to be mindful of that as we look at that number. So just to put that out there too. Any other questions?
It's going in the right direction. That's good.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, there is a board break on the agenda. Do you guys want to take a break or just keep plowing through? I'm okay to keep going. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Consent items. Do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Aminzadeh.
Second.
I don't know which one. I'll just say we have a second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or changes on the consent items? Okay, We need a vote to approve the consent items. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Consent items are approved as presented.
Oh, I don't think he's voting. That's what I've been on the navigate, sorry. Oh, he raised his hand.
Yeah.
So then, yes, voted. He approved.
Is a yes. Okay.
Sorry.
We will now open a public hearing on the sufficiency of instructional materials at 5:58 p.m. Is there any public comment on the sufficiency of instructional materials? Okay. Seeing none, there's no public comment. The public hearing on the sufficiency of instructional materials is now closed at 5:58 p.m. Okay, do we have a motion to consider the approval of amendment number 6 to the superintendent's 25-28 employment contract? I need a first.
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Are there any comments or discussion? Okay, we need a vote to approve amendment number 6 to the superintendent's 25-28 employment contract. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Amendment number 6 to the superintendent's 25-28 employment contract is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of Resolution 3, sufficiency of instructional materials?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato.
Second.
We have a second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? Seeing none, we need a vote to approve resolution number 3, sufficiency of instructional materials. All in favor? All opposed? Resolution number 3, sufficiency of instructional materials is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of resolution number 4, adopting the GAN limit?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. Seeing none, we need a vote to approve resolution number 4, adopting the GAN limit. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Resolution number 4, adopting the GAN limit is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of the unaudited actuals for the 24-25 school year?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? I think we covered it already. We had our questions answered. Seeing none, we need a vote to approve the unaudited actuals for the 24-25 school year. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The unaudited actuals for the 24-25 school year are approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of a change order deduction for the Basic Community Center roof project?
So moved.
First from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? I see Damien's up here.
So Damien, if there's anything you want to share, just be sure you speak into the mic, sir.
These change orders that are before the board this evening are deductive in nature. They're returns of the unused balance of contingency on each of the roofing projects from this summer. Happy to report that they're going the right direction, which is returning money to the district. They don't always go that way, but so far we've done pretty well on budget. The other items that are upcoming on the agenda are relative to notices of completions also for these projects.
That is wonderful news.
I could say that I've never seen a change order go in that direction before.
Yes.
Should have hired you for my home.
My home remodel too. Yeah, no, that's great news, and glad to see our taxpayer dollars being spent as frugally and responsibly as possible. We need a vote to approve the change order deduction for the Basic Community Center roof project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The change order deduction for the Basic Community Center roof project is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of the notice of completion for the Basich Community Center roof project?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we need a vote to approve the notice of completion for the Basich Community Center roof project. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The notice of completion for the Basich Community Center roof project is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of a change order deduction for the Kent Middle School gym roof project?
So moved.
First from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Joseph. Any comments or discussion? Nope. Okay. Seeing none, we need a vote to approve the change order deduction for the Kent Middle School gym roof project. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The change order deduction for the Kent Middle School gym roof project is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of the notice of completion for the Kent Middle School gym roof project?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato.
Second.
We have a second from trustee Joseph. Thanks, guys. Any comments or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we need a vote to approve the notice of completion for the Kent Middle School gym roof project. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The notice of completion for the Kent Middle School gym. What?
Said yay.
Oh, yes, the notice of completion for the Kent Middle School gym roof project is approved as presented. Let's see, do we have a motion to consider the approval of the can you tell me how to say that?
Trachi.
Quattrocchi Walk Architects proposals for roof and solar projects at Kent and Basich schools and an initial purchase order to begin design work on those projects.
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato.
Second.
We have a second from trustee Amanzadeh. All right, any comments or discussion on that?
So some quick explanation on this particular item. Earlier this year, the district conducted a request for proposals and qualifications for architectural firms, and we received a number of responses in that process. There were 4 firms that were selected for inclusion in a pool of qualified architecture firms for selection at later projects. And the reason for that is that sometimes you find particular firms that are well matched to particular projects, whether that be by size threshold or individual capabilities or whatever it is. In this particular case, QKA is extremely well qualified for the roof and solar projects, and that comes from a variety of circumstances. The first is they have historically worked in the district and are deeply familiar with the district's facilities, which allows them to move a little bit faster given that they've already got that background. That's one benefit. The other is that they have included a number of highly qualified consultants that are also really well regarded in the industry, including an energy consultant that's also worked in the district historically. Again, this has to do with implementing these projects particularly quickly and with the requisite amount of expertise to do them well. QKA has worked in a broad variety of districts across the Bay Area. They actually predate us in this district, which is always a good sign if they survive multiple different rounds. It's a sign of a highly professional firm. In this case, we have no reservations in recommending them for approval for these particular projects. We will be coming back to the board with additional projects that are also on the docket for next year. Consideration of the fencing and McAllister safety improvements over at Basich, as well as some bathroom works. And we've reached out to additional firms for those proposals, but those will be coming at future meetings.
Thank you.
Quick question. The name sounds familiar. I've seen them in a board packet before. What work have they done for us in the past? I feel like I recognize them.
Done quite a bit.
Yeah, so they have done a lot of work for us. They worked closely with the district on the last big bond measure passage of the administration building, the music buildings, the new A building over at Basich. So they've been the architect that's worked with the district for a number of years now, and most recently helped with the new bathrooms over at Basich when we opened TK a couple years ago for those restrooms. They're the quick architect that we tend to go to, so they know our district.
Got it.
Or sites.
And then just question on the process. So they'll do like the plan, but then the actual work itself will be another firm that actually executes on that? Is that how? Okay.
Yeah. So typically what we'll have is a firm that does the design throughout the process. And there's a couple different ways that that can be accomplished relative to solar specifically. Sometimes you have an outside consultant for photovoltaic that kind of provides consulting services. In this case, that's actually carried under the architect, and that's for a specific reason, given the amount of change that we've seen this year. It allows them to react a little bit faster, and it kind of connects both parties so that they're tied together in terms of implications on changes. Once they complete that design process, will submit that to Division of State Architect for review through the state. Once the state completes that permitting process, and kind of as that's happening, we're going to recommend engaging a contractor to come on board that starts material procurement and gets ready to be able to do this work this next summer. At a future meeting, we're going to recommend what's called a lease-leaseback process, which allows the district to engage a contractor before DSA has fully stamped those drawings out. And that's a competitive process that we reach out to a number of general firms for that, and then kind of work through interviews and other things there. Once that contractor is selected, they work along with the design firm towards the end of the process in design, and you get this more cohesive project as a result, where you kind of eliminate some of the unforeseen obstacles and other challenges that they may see. And that's kind of how we anticipate this moving forward. The unique or niche elements here is we're still considering whether to approach this as a combined single project with both campuses and both scopes, or to break this apart, and that will come kind of driven by market forces as we get further into fall.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Great, thank you. We need a vote to approve the Quatrachi Quack Architects proposals for roof and solar projects at Kent and Basage schools, and an initial purchase order to begin design work on those projects. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The Quatrachi Quack Architects proposals for roof and solar projects at Kent and Basage schools, and an initial purchase order to begin design work on those projects are approved as presented. Thank you, Damien.
Thank you, Damon.
Do we have a motion to consider the approval of the amended LCAP?
So moved.
We have a first from trustee Moscato,
Second.
second from trustee Amanzadeh. Are there any comments or discussion?
There were just minor technical changes that we need to make, as you may recall. So in June, the board considers approval of a LCAP that we present to the county office, who then reviews during the summertime, and typically will come back and say there's a couple clarifications that you need to complete. This has happened for us every year, it happens for most districts. And so it was really just having to populate some expenditure charts that we were able to do, as well as add some narrative around some carryover funds that we have, specifically around the Learning Recovery Block Grant monies that we've spread over 5 years to expend to support some intervention services. So we've made those adjustments, and we'll submit to the county prior to September 15th.
Thank you. We need a vote to approve the amended LCAP. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The amended LCAP is approved as presented. Do we have a motion to consider the approval of 2 members to the KSD Citizens Oversight Committee?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, we have a first from trustee Amanzadeh
Second.
and a second from trustee Moscato. Any comments or discussion?
No, I think this is actually a good situation that's happened for us. So we've had 2 members of our public come forward expressing interest in work that's happening related to Measure E and our facilities. And so I offered to them, maybe put your name in to be appointed to the Citizens Oversight Committee. So they did submit their applications. It does put us at 8 members of the COC, and I checked with legal counsel, and there are no parameters. You could have a higher number of committee members. We would just always have to have a quorum present. So that would be the challenge if the challenge presents itself. So before you have 2 applications: Laura Streeter, who is a parent in the district, and Julie Kidd, who identifies as a parent as well as a PTA member. And they're before you for consideration of appointment.
Can I just comment? I've worked with both of them and just find them to be super engaged in the details of how the site impacts students, and really happy to have them join the committee.
I think they're going to bring a lot of value, and they have a lot of passion for this. So I'm very happy to see these applications. We need a vote to approve the 2 new members to the KSD Citizens Oversight Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The 2 new members to the KSD Citizens Oversight Committee are approved as presented. Happy to say we are already moving on to governance. So you guys get what, 2 hours back? If you'd like to take everyone's welcome to stay. Right. Everyone's welcome to stay, but if we won't be offended if you want to take off and enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Board meeting highlights. I have one right away, which is, I actually have 2. Very excited to see the handout on the finance presentation. It's something we've talked a lot about, and I feel like this is a really good step in the right direction, and really happy to see this getting into place here. And then also very happy to hear that we came in under budget on the 2 roofing projects and are able to return that money to our taxpayers. Like you said, very rare to see these.
Well, we won't be returning it to our taxpayers. We'll just be keeping
Spending it
in
on
the
something else instead of taking more funds. Yes. Yep.
Or
Yep.
eventually we could return it, but right now it goes
Right
back.
now it'll go to the next project. Yes.
Yeah.
But eventually. Yeah. Anybody else with board meeting highlights? We were very efficient.
Yeah, pretty efficient.
I think unaudited actuals should be a highlight that our budget, that we
Oh,
did
yeah.
not deficit spend. And that really accounts for some of the adjustments that we made last year after budget adoption, inclusive of our salary increase too, right?
Yeah.
So a significant salary increase for our staff, as well as making some adjustments so that we can make that happen with the positive ending fund balance is really good.
And kudos to you, Raquel, for
well, our whole team,
yeah.
right? So there's so many people that were part of that process. So I think that's key. And then, we're in a better spot as we head into a new fiscal year.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been a ton of work, a lot of tough decisions, and then put ourselves in a place where we can have some things go the right way, like taxes going up, right? And that actually flows through to the bottom line. So just great planning, great execution. Let's keep it going, and hopefully we'll have some money that we can reinvest back into the school soon. So.
Future agenda items. Anybody have anything that you'd like to add?
Raquel, I know we talked about me updating on land acknowledgement. Where do you feel like is the right time for that?
So, typically that would be through committee updates, but I think if there's an interest in, we can move that to an earlier part of the agenda as like part of staff reports. Does that make sense? And we could do that at the next meeting.
Yeah. I thought was just looking up, I thought Wendy said I could mention it during governance. I wasn't sure if that's this now or like next time.
Yeah, governance would be
Okay.
right now. So
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Okay. So, I just wanted to give you guys awareness of some work that I've been doing with a DI subcommittee over the summer around the land acknowledgement. I think that's something that the district has been interested in for some time, and we did at the board level some kind of risk analysis about adopting policy language around that. I think people felt like there's been an interest, but it was hard to get traction. So worked with Wendy over the summer, and we also started some outreach to local tribes just to get their input. We are going to be proposing it as a potential area of focus for the DI committee this year, and also we'll be interested in potentially making statements or encouraging learning around Indigenous Peoples Day on October 13th, I think it is. So coming up soon, and just wanted to preview that work. We do have a draft acknowledgement. I'm not sure the way to share that. There's a DI committee meeting on the 16th, so I think we want to share it with that group first, but I also want you guys as board presidents and policy committee leads to have kind of early awareness of it. So working with Raquel on like when's the right way to share it. But yeah, there's been good progress on it. And we're hopeful that it could be like a concrete action that the district could take just to start to show awareness of some of our history and some of our, different approaches to treatment of Indigenous people in California in the future. So just want to show that.
Thank you for all your work on that. And I look forward to getting it in place. I think
Yeah.
right around Indigenous Peoples Day would be a really
I
lovely
know.
time to roll that out.
Yeah,
So,
I don't have a sense of exactly that, but that was the goal. That's why I was kind of like pushing things over the summer, maybe even like a first reading or something. We do have a solid draft at this point, so we'll just have to see like what feels manageable, and if not, like adopting it, something to share that around that meeting, I think would be great.
And just for you guys to have too, it has been a topic that we had at our administrative meeting that we had maybe just a week or so ago with our admin team, just to talk about how we're helping educate and inform our staff about it too, because it is there may be a situation in which people don't even know what a land acknowledgement is, and so just wanting to be sure that people have that information prior to us like going out there publicly with something, so that they also can have some good understanding. And the timing related to Indigenous Peoples Day seems really well suited to bring that to the fore and highlight it. So I appreciate all the work that was done this summer. And moving it forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
What like just I don't even know what to expect. Do you have like a like not even the words, just like how do we actually what do we do with it? Like, just trying to understand.
Or when, right?
Yeah, what do we?
It's a good question. So the way that they're used often is posted on a website, but also read at the beginning of meetings, potentially like gatherings, like a back to school night, graduation. It's essentially an acknowledgement that we are on Indigenous land and recognizing the tribes who have ancestral lands here. There is often a statement too about like the problematic nature of our history and our past, and just our commitment to, as we know better, do better. So it's, it's a statement that we might read at the beginning of every meeting. The Marin County Office of Education has it on their website. And there are other schools in the area, I think Ross Valley included, that read it at the start of every meeting. It's posted on their website. One of the points of discussion amongst this small subcommittee is, is the land acknowledgement sort of virtue signaling and performative? And what are the suite of actions that we can take as a district to actually ensure that our students, our parents, our teachers, our administration, ourselves are really learning about the history and changing our behavior in terms of like curriculum, field trips. There's an effort underway throughout the state, for example, to stop using racist names. So there's a lot I think that we can actually do. And the question will be for the committee and for our board of like whether land acknowledgement is the start of that work to help us launch and start to provide visibility to the community, or whether there's other work we need to do, field trips, hearing from speakers, educating ourselves first before we've sort of earned the right to even have a land acknowledgement. So that's what we've been discussing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be I'm assuming even within the group, there's strong feelings on both sides of that.
Well, I mean, we've gotten to the place where I think people want to do the land acknowledgement. I think there was a feeling of like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And just I wasn't on the committee last year, and Kari can speak to this, but there was a lot of discussions. And I think there's a recognition that like moving forward with some kind of acknowledgement could be a helpful like start to move some of the other pieces. So yeah, I could see it either way, but I was just there to sort of support the group and advance the conversation. And Wendy has been really great on this too. And I know she's been keeping the administration up to date. So I wanted to provide the board with an update. Am I allowed to like share the language?
It's been shared. It's been
shared.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more of just, it's not so much I don't know if there's more drafts going around, but it's more of like, what are we trying to accomplish? It's like, I'm trying to like zoom up a little bit of like, is it that statement or is it actually what are we trying to do? Right.
Yeah.
I know we did like, remember with it's a completely different topic, but like the whole, when we approved the holiday around the Indigenous.
Yeah,
Peoples
exactly.
Day,
Yeah.
we were trying to, what we hoped it wasn't going to turn out to was just another reason to go to a long weekend trip somewhere, right? It was gonna be actually like there's a curriculum around it. There's and I know the teams are doing a good job of it here, but fast forward 10 years, will it still be like that? Just how do we?
Yeah, exactly. So so that's the work that's continuing, is to describe what the like substantive changes will be, like changes to curriculum potentially. There've been concerns raised, for example, about the like fourth grade Gold Rush field trip and like how the framing is there, and just like some of the things that are baked into our curriculum and our California history, and how we could change those as an important first step. So yeah, I think those are good.
All the history about the tribes, like
What's that?
the history of the tribes.
Yeah.
It's something that should be acknowledged, and it's
Yeah.
rich, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the tribes, when you really look at history, some of the tribes were extremely violent too. Like it wasn't, you know, there's a mix
Yeah.
of that opinion about some of that too. So we have to be careful
Yeah.
and you know, acknowledging is fine. Like you said, there's a risk of saying, okay, this is virtue signaling a bit.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of opinions out there about it.
Yeah.
As long as we have the accurate history, and like you said, talking to the tribes is kind of the way to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a good discussion. I don't have like a specific outcome in mind,
Right.
but, and I think there's also an awareness too of like our community has a lot of like unlearning to do and some of the assumptions that we have, and you know, just sort of embracing anti-racist training and education more broadly, and is this the place to focus right now? So I think that discussion is like totally fair, and we should talk about it.
Reports from board trustees. I actually don't have anything to report. We're moving our policy committee meeting. I don't think that's been rescheduled yet. Is that right? Okay. And I got a great email from Adrian Brown saying third grade will be ready for me in a week or two, but not quite yet. So, and then Raquel, I'll be in touch with you on TK. I don't know if we're keeping our same assignments, but what that would look like in terms of visiting those classrooms.
Yeah, just to note, we, at the last board meeting, we talked through the assignments. So they're all staying status quo except for fifth grade and seventh grade. We're switched between Larry and Benny. And I just emailed the group this morning, or maybe last night, either way, to be sure they reached out to you. And then our principals were going to be talking to the GLCs. And so you should be hearing from them. The grade level coordinators should be hearing from them sometime in the month of September. So Adrian got to you right away. So
Yeah,
that's great.
fantastic. All right, Benny.
The only thing I've been to was the Base Age back to school night. I think that was after the last board meeting. It was great. Great energy. Mrs. Ross I was telling Raquel, did a fantastic job. I was blown away with how she handled the group. Yeah, I haven't reached out to my grade levels yet. And we do have, at least right now, planned a teacher chat this Friday at both Base Itch and Kent. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so I did ask, because I think it looks like we may do a different approach. And so my wondering is if we should just hold and roll out the different approach, which is kind of having more like quarterly and then being a little more targeted of checking in with groups. I think the idea is a great idea. I don't know, Sarah, if you want to speak to it. And I also just got, I think, dates through December when PTA does their hospitality breakfast.
Oh, good.
So I'm trying
Okay.
to coordinate all of that, and I
Yeah.
need to be sure I know what the dates are for Kent. But I don't know, Sarah, if you want to talk about it.
It was just sort of building off, so the communication and outreach board goal is the one that I have responsibility for. So I was just trying to carry forward the discussion we had last time around like, how are the board chats going? How can we, you know, even build on what we did previously and be more intentional and focused in our time at schools? Just realizing that the teachers and staff seem to really enjoy the, like, you know, the bigger lunches. Everyone's not always able or, you know, maybe wanting to have the board in their lunch areas, like during their school day. So we just, you know, we had sort of like mixed results. I think we all felt the benefit and enjoyed doing it and getting to know folks better. But just thinking through this year, we thought maybe like a quarterly event that was more special, more elaborate, more of a celebration and a recognition of teachers and staff, and then sort of punctuated in off months with some outreach perhaps to enrichment teachers who see the entire student body, who aren't in our like grades breakdown, and who also have a lot of interaction with parents because of the volunteers in art, and library. So yeah, just proposing like a quarterly celebratory type event, whether it's a breakfast, a lunch, or maybe even after school social thing. And then in the other months, doing something like with PE or art or woodshop or music, just to reach like a different group of teachers.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've already talked to Sarah about this. I'd love to hear the rest of the board and their thoughts on it.
I mean, I'm totally open. I think what we want to do is meet people where they are and when they can, and right. And
Yeah.
so I think, you know, diving into that and figuring out what works is it's a
Yeah.
good approach. So
Yeah.
Yeah. My one question. Oh, sorry, Larry. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm like I said at the last meeting, I think anything we could do to make it where it's not talking about work on your break,
Yeah.
you know, and I just
I didn't experience Larry's like elaborate platter,
oh, I did. It was
but
delicious.
yeah, like that, you know?
I think that was a nice because we just fed them and we didn't talk.
Yeah.
We were like, here's food, and
Yeah.
you know,
Talk a little bit, but maybe
right.
yeah.
I gave them a little extra too to have like for a few days, but and I'm happy to do that again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think we like I mentioned a non-boozy happy hour.
Yeah.
Just something we could do that, you know,
Yeah. I think we can think about like what they would like.
before they head home.
Yeah. My one question is just, I think specifically for this Friday, I don't know what's been communicated. I also don't want to go too long without doing something because we've had a long break from the teachers. So I'm just wondering, should we keep just this Friday, share this new approach with the folks that come? So it kind of, you know,
What's the
So
time on
I've
that?
held
So-
back
okay.
on communications. We have a flyer, but I've held back on it because knowing that there might be a shift.
Okay.
And so, you know, Kari and I are with Celeste and Marjorie on next Thursday, so we can share with them the update. And then we can actually put together a calendar of when it will be and provide that so people have kind of all the dates if it's going to be on a quarterly basis. And we can just have the first one in the fall happen sooner than, you know, some
Yeah.
kind of late September, early October.
Okay.
I think that's
fall
good.
thing.
I mean, you know, Basich has parent teacher conferences this week, minimum days, and people just got through back to school night. So I agree. We don't want to let it go too long, but I think people are just getting back into the swing of things. So I think it would be good to share
Yeah.
like a proposed calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is David still on?
He is, but he doesn't have his hand up.
Oh, okay. No, I just because I know
Big
him and I were coordinating logistics for this Friday. I just want to make sure he's on
Time is
aware and
200 sparkling water.
yeah.
time is Friday.
Midday, I think.
Do you want me to have him
I
talk?
don't even know if that works.
No, I could follow up with him afterwards.
He's
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
And it's true. I didn't even think about that, Sarah. You just mentioned it. Basage has their minimum days, so they're not
yeah,
going to
they won't even
be
be there.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they'll be in conferences. I mean,
Okay. So that automatically cancels this Friday. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do that, and I'll if David, I'll text him right after the meeting. I was gonna make a Costco run. So.
Yeah.
he says I'm good with whatever.
Okay.
Moving on to pertinent dates, unless Larry, did you have any reports?
I attended the DLAC meeting the other night, and the attendance was a little lower than the pre-school start meeting that they had. So I didn't attend that. I heard it was very successful. I think part of the issue is the start of sports. I know many kids that were starting with their practices that day for soccer and things. So it's, you know, it's probably partially communication thing. We just had a great meeting, and also that sports started, and you know, I know it's a drain on the parent schedule. So probably a little bit of both. We had like 3-4 people attend, and I think it was fruitful for what it was, you know, for them. But like we had said, we're trying to come up with ideas. Maybe I know they did make some phone calls this time, but to try to really reach out a little bit more aggressively to say, you know, this is a community thing. We really need you there, you know, for your input as well. Not just like in case you need to know something. We really need you there to be part of the team and help us really achieve more for the kids, kind of thing. So I'm hoping that the next meeting we'll be able to get a little bit more prepared and aggressive on that end of it. So
Yeah, we did have that.
we had
August
free
thir-
pizza too, and
I know there was pizza.
next-
The August 13th event was a packed room. So I also wonder about that because we did this back to school event for our DLAC community, just to launch the year with resources around Parent Square and, just a variety of things for them. So it might have just been too close to that too, just
right.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
Just one question, just because we did this a while ago. Does everyone know what committees they're on? Because I forgot if I was on the finance committee or not. I thought
Why did
I
David
thought I
look-
don't think I am anymore, but I was just maybe we can just Raquel just send that out. Just it's been a long
Good
summer.
idea. Good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, and I was gonna request just a re-up of the 8th grade lead. I have the 4th grade lead, but I couldn't find that, like the teacher lead,
I believe it's Jill Klima.
Jill Klima.
Yeah, but I can send you an email too if you'd like.
That would be awesome.
I can send all of you guys that list again.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Anything to note regarding the pertinent dates?
Can I just, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
On this front, Beth and I were talking about just the calendar protocols, and we wanted to be sure since we're starting the new year, we're all on the same page related to board members and calendar protocols. So you all are invited to our board meetings, the closed session and the regular session. You're invited to all of the workshops that we have, so you should have those on your calendar. We weren't inviting you to the committee meetings and letting you know when those dates were and that you would put those on your calendar. So the only things we're inviting you to were the board meetings and board chats too. So I just wanted to be sure, because we were kind of debating it back and forth and wanted to be sure we were all on the same page and that that's still working for folks. So board meetings, closed and open, board chats. And then everything else is on the trustee calendar and on the district.
Oh, right. So I was like, there's a calendar though, right?
Invite.
Yeah.
To,
Got it, yeah.
Keep
You
it
have to look at the calendar.
like
Yeah,
meetings,
yeah.
I think is what I'm
I was like,
hearing,
it's on the
right?
calendar,
Which I think
and-
is what we agreed upon. Is everybody good with it though?
Yeah.
It works
So
for
we
me.
agreed it, yeah. Yeah.
We'll see every event, but you won't be invited to your email directly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, usually somebody's sending out something a day or two before, like, here's what we're going to be reviewing or what, whatever. And so it's like a little reminder as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
there's almost always an email.
So what about for things like our KTA meetings?
That I would really like to have on my calendar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that's
I don't
not,
want to miss it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's different than committees, because that's not a committee.
And it's fluid too sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those move. Yeah.
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 Raquel, when you re-up the committee information, can you, or can I get added to those email lists too? Or can there be a process to add each of us to any emails? Because I don't think I'm on the DI committee email list, or I wasn't at least at the end of last year.
So I'm looking at the committee.
That would be probably Grant and Maria are usually.
Grant and
the ones
Maria. I
sending
think I-
emails.
This year, you're not on.
I thought Larry jumped in and with David. That's what I remember. And you can't have three at the board at those meetings, right?
Yeah, on this list, I just have David on.
Oh, okay. Didn't you join?
I was kind of
David?
like a apprentice to David on it,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
taking lead.
That's
but
yeah, it was like
David's
a
got it all
yeah.
handled apparently. So
Yeah.
So I'll share this with you all.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
As well.
Right.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you. Bye.
Bye, Kelly.
So that's probably, I mean, that was about pertinent dates essentially. So, these are helpful because they're a good reminder for me as well. Anybody have anything else on here or we're good?
I have a family wedding, so I'm not going to be here for the board workshop. And it would be good to know how to like RSVP for that. I don't know. Maybe we could decline the calendar invite or.
The September 26th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Benny, you said you're not here for the next school board meeting?
Yeah, the next school board meeting, I told Raquel, it's not official yet, but most likely a conflict that I won't be able to get out of. Yeah.
Okay, debrief meetings and norms. I thought everything went well.
Efficient.
Turnout today. It was efficient. I kept us tracking.
Yeah.
Trying to get everybody out of here at a reasonable time when we're able. So, okay. In that case, this meeting is adjourned at 6:38 p.m.